How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, I don't have anything to read today, but I have some things that I want to say about Grandmaster Jay. Some know and some don't know that he has been found guilty. And before I give my opinion, some may disagree and some may agree, but you are free to disagree on the True Royal family, and my backup channel is True Royal, without being attacked by me personally. Now, I know some folks may battle, and the only thing that I ask of the royal family is not to personally attack and use derogatory names because we may have a unquote disagreement. Both of my channels are not a channels where we come in and attack each other. And I see this a lot on other channels where folks, because you may disagree, or I have often said I may let you down because I'm a human. Even with the best of intent, I have let folks down. I have even let myself down. I had explained to y'all the other day that I was very pissed with myself that I avoided talking about the mass shooting that happened in Buffalo, and I was just so hurt about it. I didn't even want to see the faces of. And then, then I had a response within myself of the recent mass shootings. And then I got to thinking, well, even though I may feel some kind of way, I don't feel like the royal family members who have lost their loved ones. And there was no way in my conscience that I could avoid that and just speak on it. I keep it real, and I keep it raw, and I keep it truthful with the royal family. So I'm going to take y'all on a journey. I got a couple of videos that I'm going to present, and let's first listen to this video so we can get a unquote overview. And this was done back in December 4th, 2020.
We are the response. We are not the incident. We are the response to repeated incidents. We're the response to repeated injustices.
What do you want people to hear and see when they see this group?
Nothing. That we're U.S. citizens exercising our constitutional rights, and the color of our skin shouldn't make any difference.
As your president, I would work along with anyone.
John Fitzgerald Johnson ran for president of the United States during the 2016 election with little success, but he still found a group to lead.
A lot of y'all said this happening at the hands of the police.
Grandmaster Jay is the leader of a group known as the NFAC.
The NFAC is the name given to the coalition, and that stands for the Not Effing Around Coalition. That is a reflection of our attitude, the entire group. We're not effing around anymore with the judicial system that shortchanges us. We're not effing around anymore with the continued abuses within our community and the lack of respect for our men, women, and children. In other words, we're not effing around with the status quo anymore. We're going to change it one way or the other.
NFAC! Large, armed black groups are not something often seen in the United States. The most well-known, the Black Panther Party for the Self-Defense, was established in 1966, but has since mostly disappeared.
As I said before, we're pro-protecting the black community.
Started in 2017, the group operates with a top-down structure. The NFAC has marched in Stone Mountain, Georgia, in Brunswick, Georgia for Ahmaud Arbery, Louisville, Kentucky, demanding more transparency in the Breonna Taylor case, and most recently in Lafayette, Louisiana, in the name of Chafert Pellerin.
There's always been a lot of talk for pro-Second Amendment, but you've obviously faced some different reactions based upon not only the size of the group, the skin tone of the group.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm black. No more, no less. But first, I'm a U.S. citizen. I am someone who was born in this country under the Constitution. I should be afforded all of those rights. Nobody says anything when other demographics pick up weapons, decide to arm themselves and confront the government over anything from wearing a mask to being cooped up in the house. But when certain demographics arm themselves, all of a sudden people tend to act like the Constitution does not apply.
During one event, a member fainted and their gun discharged, injuring at least 2 people. No other incidents have been reported. The Southern Poverty Law Center, which tracks armed groups, says it's aware of the NFAC, but does not yet have enough data to label the group. But Thomas Makaitis, a professor of history at DePaul University who writes about violent extremism and groups, believes that the NFAC already stands apart from other armed groups across the country.
In one sense, it echoes the Panthers, but I think they're more heavily armed, they're more disciplined. Many of them are Army veteran or military veterans, but so far they've coordinated with the police. They've avoided engaging in violence and so on. And to be perfectly fair, there's not a moral equivalency here. The white militia movement is older, larger, probably more heavily armed, certainly more pervasive, and many more people, and it has been violent. The other thing I have to say, there's been some comments that have been a little questionable, but I don't see out of this African-American militia an overtly racist ideology.
Grandmaster Jay says his group is not looking for confrontation, but in one online video from the Stone Mountain protests, a member from the NFAC challenges white armed groups to show up. Jay declined to directly address details surrounding the video. He says when the NFAC gathers, they work with local law enforcement and city officials to create a buffer between them and any other groups. Members register their guns with the group and submit to several safety checks before marching. Law enforcement officials have told CNN the group has operated within the law during each of their marches.
This country was built on guns. This country was built on revolution. This world was built on people revolting against when they can't get justice or the answer.
Plenty is unknown about the group. They won't share their membership numbers or much about the group's inner workings. But Grandmaster Jay did tell us NFAC's age requirement dropped from 21 to 18, helping to add new members.
This is an exercise in forcing us to work with us, to build something to protect us, to defend us, to educate us. If it works, we get all the credit. If it fails, we have no one to blame but ourselves. It doesn't mean that we hate anyone else. It means that we have got to learn to love ourselves to get this job done.
All right, my royal family, let me shut this down quickly. I don't want anything to pop up. And let me freeze this before I get into the next phase. So, based on most of the things that Grandmaster Jay had to say in that segment, I wholeheartedly agree. But I have some concerns. I'm vastly concerned about a few things. And I did put up a few of his videos because it was very refreshing to hear and watch a black man lead. But over time, there was some things that I questioned. So I said, let me do some research. Now, I have enough sense to know that the enemy is going to make a black man that lead look bad in the worst light. I know this. I have enough sense. But there was some things that pissed me off and turned me off. And when I started doing my research, what I did not like was when he ran for president, the person that was running for vice president with him was the enemy. And I was like, I can't support that whatsoever. You know, the way that I have been raised, and I have often told y'all that my family on my mother's side, they were the original Panthers. And I said, I will always be a Cub for life, power to the people. I still hold the doctrine within me. But I do fully understand what eroded within the Panthers, you know, things that I know personally and things that I have researched on my own. And I cannot support anyone that is chummy, buddy with the enemy. I have been raised, and it has been foretold, you cannot trust the enemy whatsoever. Even it is their nature to go against us. They are innately like this. And we have worked, lived next door, met, or even befriend some of these folks. And something eventually will come out where they show their true nature. And when you feel Yahweh, again, Yahweh put that in us. Like I said, we didn't lose everything, and honor it. When he puts something within you, and it can be the enemy or also the enemy supporters, that something ain't right. I'm an empath, and I often say that I feel like all of us are empaths, but some of us may not even know it. And you honor, again, what you feel. So I was like, bro, I ain't on what you on certain things. Now I'm going to leave it right there. And I have 2 more videos that I want to share with the royal family. And then I will conclude. Pay attention in these next few videos to language.
Absolutely. Well, yesterday, at least 20 members of Johnson's coalition were actually there at the court at the trial. From start of trial, that was on Tuesday. They've been wearing all black to show their support for Johnson. But after the verdict was delivered yesterday, you could definitely see and hear that emotion coming out of the courtroom. Now, a mostly white jury found Johnson guilty of assaulting, resisting, or impeding officers engaged in official duty, as well as brandishing a firearm in relation to a crime of violence. The U.S. attorney says Johnson used a firearm to threaten an officer, taking them away from their post on the rooftops as they were doing overwatch. The defense maintained Johnson was simply using his flashlight to see who was up there with no intention to threaten anyone. With Johnson now facing up to 20 years, I spoke with the Louisville attorney, Thomas Clay, to get more insight on a case like this. He says the U.S. attorney's choice to go with the most serious charge was likely tied to the presence of a firearm.
There are basically 3 levels of punishment in this statute. Level 1 is a misdemeanor. Level 2 is up to 8 years. He got the enhanced penalty of up to 20 years because this enhanced penalty requires whoever in the commission of acts described in subsection A uses a deadly or dangerous weapon.
And that's for the first count. Count 2 comes with no less than a 7-year sentence. However, federal probation officers will now interview Johnson, check his background, and the defense will likely have witnesses on his behalf to push the judge towards a lower sentence. Now, August 22nd is the date set for his sentence hearing. Johnson's attorneys say they plan to file a motion for acquittal and new trial. Live in Louisville, Ford Sanders, WHS 11 on your side.
Of a militia group now tied to Louisville could spend more than...
All right, let me take this down. We'll get into the next video in just a bit. So, I said pay attention to language. Mostly all white jury, and also the enemy's supporters. And pay attention how they describe these unquote black militia groups. And that is something that the enemy is concerned about. They don't want us to exercise our constitutional rights. We truly don't have any rights whatsoever. But what the enemy is truly concerned about is this black man served with the military, so he knows secrets, and they don't want his undue influence to have a uprising throughout the United States, a uprising globally. That is what the enemy is greatly concerned about. And we in the royal family have enough sense to know that as I speak, there are guns pointed at us. We are in a true war. Once we came in contact with the enemy, we have had pure hell. I have often said every millisecond somebody is doing something nefarious to the royal family. So let's get into this last video.
Of a militia group now tied to Louisville could spend more than 20 years in prison. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Tom Lally. A jury convicted John Johnson, better known as Grandmaster Jay, of assaulting, resisting, or impeding officers during the protests in 2020. Some wonder why these specific charges were chosen and what they'll mean for his sentencing. The WHAS 11 night team's Ford Sanders finds out.
The conviction rate in U.S. District Court is not good for defendants. Generally, the conviction rate exceeds 90%.
Grandmaster Jay, now a part of that statistic. He faced 2 counts after being indicted in December 2020. One was assaulting, resisting, or impeding officers engaged in official duty, as well as brandishing a firearm in relation to a crime of violence.
There are basically 3 levels of punishment in this statute. Level 1 is a misdemeanor. Level 2 is up to 8 years. He got the enhanced penalty of up to 20 years because this enhanced penalty requires whoever in the commission of acts described in subsection A uses a deadly or dangerous weapon.
Thomas Clay is an attorney in Louisville and says with the way the law is written, the presence of the firearm led to why prosecutors chose the most serious of possible charges. Jeffersonville, Indiana attorney Larry Wilder says there is also another layer to that first count, and that comes down to who was actually on the roof.
Add the layer of the federal officers. You add the layer of the gun, and then it becomes the federal officer enhances it.
So what happens when it comes to conviction? A jury of 16 sat in on all 4 days of the trial, hearing witnesses, being shown evidence, and hearing Grandmaster Jay testify.
The benefit of going to trial in front of a jury is the jury hears the evidence, and they decide which side they believe.
And when it came to the makeup of the jury, well, they were mostly white, and lawyers tell me that this isn't necessarily uncommon for federal trials.
Jefferson County, Kentucky, Greater Louisville, there's a lot fewer minorities. There's a concentration. When you get to the federal courts, and the federal district encompasses such a large area, of a not so diverse state, then you're going to get a primarily white jury.
Both Wilder and Clay tell me it's not unusual for federal trials to pull outside of the county it's happening in, which then means a lesser chance of diversity in the jury. For the sentencing, both lawyers tell me that is based on a number of factors like criminal history, employment status, amongst others.
There's going to be a lot of argument that's going to be made to mitigate the potential sentence, and the judge has the ability to do that. We're seeing that in Washington, D.C. right now with the insurrection, January 6th insurrection prosecutions.
Clay saying it could be likely Johnson will see a minimum of 7 years. In Louisville, Ford Sanders, WHS 11, on your side.
That's for federal charges. On a state level, Johnson is also facing 5 counts of wanton endangerment for this same issue.
Well, let me take this down. Well, my royal family, as far as what they going to, when they sentence him, they're going to throw the book at him. And I think that he's going to receive way more. It's going to succeed way more than 7 years. And I noticed that the things that he was talking about on his channel, I said, damn, they didn't take him down. Because I know, I've been a blogger long enough, I know what language to do where to get my channel wiped out. And I knew that he was being watched. Now, even though I may disagree, I agree and disagree with him, that is straight pure BS. I seen the actual footage, and naturally, when somebody is over you, pointing guns at you and intimidating you, he naturally pointed his and looked up to see who was above him. And he realized it was the enemy. And he knew, because he's been trained, he knew that he was not in a win-win situation. And this man had no intent of shooting anyone in that situation. We already know this, but they had to find something on this black man who has undue influence, unquote, slipping. And so that is what they gonna run with and use. And I don't think that he has much of a criminal record at all, and that frightens the enemy when someone in his position that has been trained by the U.S. government under their radar. So he put himself out there like that, you know? And then right here, what I'm showing, it says, I fought for this country that hates me. I say what the fuck I want to say. All right? So the concern that I had was some of the things that I was seeing that I didn't agree with is putting our folks in a position where they could possibly be slaughtered on a mass scale in the streets of America. I wholeheartedly agree that we should be armed. We should have the right to protect ourselves. But like I had said in the Will Smith video, that the black man can't protect himself or his family. So when it comes to our immediate situation, we're supposed to be armless. And I don't agree with that. But I also don't agree with exposing ourselves. Keep the enemy wondering. But if you want to exercise your rights, you have the right to do that, even though we already know when they were putting the Constitution together and how they put the law together, that we don't have any rights whatsoever. We can go to these gun stores. They can do an extensive background check on us, and some of these gun store owners will not sell us a gun. So that tells you a lot. But some little pimply face white boy can go in there, buy a shitload of assault rifles, thousands of rounds of bullets, and they don't question it. Ain't that ironic, my royal family? So, let me go back here to blank. Grandmaster J. Even though I may have some disagreements with this brother, me personally, even with my disagreements, I don't think he should be locked up whatsoever. But I think, and this is an intelligent man, I think this brother, the way he was leading, put undue danger on some of our folks. And when people look to a leader, you don't know what they may do individually on their own, feeling like, I'm armed and I can go out here pretty much naked and do what the hell I want to do. And it angers me as I speak that we always have to, how could I put it? We can't act on our nature. We have to really do some deep thinking. So our royal babies have to be trained immediately because they can't act upon their nature. And so we have to put in front of them danger. Watch over your back. You can't do this. You can't do that. It pisses me off that we constantly have to tell our babies no. But it saves them. That is one of the reasons why our parents tore our ass up. And then the enemy have a damn nerve to tell us that we cannot put our hands on our children, but they will shoot one of our royal babies in 3 seconds. In 3 seconds. See, they go from one extreme to the next extreme. And then they have these little snot nose running through the house thinking they can do whatever they want to do. But then when they get out into this world and this world tell them no, and they feel some kind of way, then they want to go get an assault rifle and shoot up innocent people. Kill your damn self. Kill your damn self. So, again, the enemy fear this. They fear this. This is their concern. All right? And we ain't doing this on no mass scale. I said many years ago that America's biggest problem are going to be white malicious groups. And that man who spoke said they didn't have enough information on the No Fuck Around coalition to be vastly concerned. They not overtly, unquote, racist, and we cannot be racist. We can be bigots, but we cannot affect the enemy's future. We cannot affect their bag, because most of us are working with the enemy alongside the enemy. And we know that we have to conduct ourselves in such a way that, that we can eat. So I would not lead my folks into a pit where they can't eat. You have to be careful with this type of stuff. When you are rendering your voice and you are leading, some people will hold on every word that you say. I have experienced this. And then when you let them down, they will attack you. That's why I constantly say to the royal family, I have let y'all down, not purposely. I'm human. So do your own thinking. Address your immediate situation. Exercise, even though they don't want us to, your constitutional rights. You have the right to defend yourself. So I am not going to bash this black man, even though I may have some disagreements for exercising. But the enemy smugly wait in the cut. And he was already infiltrated. We already know that. And they couldn't come back with anything because they couldn't find anything. But then there was things that I questioned. That is it, and that is all, my royal family. So do what you do best. Render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.